Hello my dear ones, welcome to another material on our channel. We are still analyzing in this way today because a lot is happening and there is no time to do it differently at the moment. And now we will check the warming that is expected to reach us after November 24th. You have been asking about this warming for some time, so well, let's take a look. My dear ones, let's start with the GFS model from the calculations of this model for the coming days. And here we primarily have a table. On the left side we have the temperatures, while at the bottom we have the date. And here is a very important chart. In this chart we see the rise and fall of temperature at a height of 2 meters. And in the near future we have a temperature increase that will occur overnight from November 19th to 20th. As I mentioned in previous materials, this temperature increase is short-lived, because there will soon be a drop which will be related to this. With the arrival of this dangerous low-pressure system, which will soon bring us a difficult weather situation, primarily in northern Poland. Next, we will have a few days of cooling, during which we will see a drop in temperatures. During the day, these temperatures will barely reach 1 to 2 degrees Celsius at night. According to these calculations, they will drop below zero. However, then we have a period starting from the 24th when these temperatures will rise more. See how much these temperatures will increase. Already on the 24th, during the day on the 25th, 5 degrees Celsius for Warsaw, but already on the 26th, even 10 to 11 degrees Celsius. And the fundamental basic question, what is happening here that these temperatures will then rise so much? Of course, there will also be a drop in these temperatures later, generally, after the 26th. But this drop will not be as significant as the one that will occur in the near future. What is happening here? We will check it shortly, but in the meantime, let's take a look at the calculations of other numerical models, meaning other cities. Look, in the case of Wrocław, the situation is very similar with no major changes. The same goes for Suwałki. Of course, temperatures may vary slightly in this calculation, but nonetheless, we see these rising and falling trends. We are returning, my dear friends, to Warsaw, but now we are moving to a higher altitude. At an altitude of 1.5 kilometers or 850 HPA. I didn't leave these calculations here for no reason, my dear friends. Maybe it will be more visible on this map. I didn't leave my drawings here for no reason. See how beautifully the calculation of hills and valleys at an altitude of 2 meters matches what is at an altitude of 850 hectopascals, or 1.5 kilometers. The red color of this line represents the multi-year average from 1991 to 2020. And we can see here perfectly again the rise and fall of temperatures at this altitude, followed by a very strong increase in temperature, which will be particularly noticeable around the 24th. This increase will be very rapid, very strong. This will indicate a very abrupt influx of warmer air masses, among other things, at these altitudes. Now it's time to check what could be the cause of all this, especially since other numerical models like Meteorologics also see these temperature increases. Here, for example, in Warsaw, the GEM model sees temperatures up to 14 degrees Celsius, the Access model sees up to 12 degrees Celsius, the ECMWF model is less optimistic, but it will still be 7 degrees Celsius, so these temperatures are really quite decent. And I must admit that at this time, these temperatures are rather above normal. What could this mean? It could mean that another likely severe and dangerous low is probably approaching us, which will cause the influx of this air mass. And generally, this is how it appears in the calculations. Look, my dear, now we will focus on the calculations primarily for the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Let's start with the 22nd, and what do we see here? We see the geopotential field at an altitude of 5.5 kilometer, and we see these lows. Here, the situation with these lows is, so to speak, the most dynamic, and here the geopotential valley is the strongest. Here will be the low that will bring the weather. Is deepening over Poland and will bring very strong gusts of wind on Tuesday and Wednesday. However, on Friday it will already be far to the north, but we should notice the formation of another low over the Atlantic Ocean, and this low will be, firstly, much deeper than the one that will be moving over Poland in the coming hours. Also, it will move more towards the north, so more in this direction. already being very deeply developed. This will cause some disturbances, which we will also discuss shortly. What do we see here? 22 da. Look, the deepening of this low right here around the British Isles. The pressure may drop to 960, 560 HPA hetero Y, HPA, so it will be really very low pressure. And then it will move more to the north. Well, another wave will appear. Another wave, and here, in this wave, we will be on the eastern side. This warm air will flow to us. How will it look? Let's check the temperatures at an altitude of 850 hectopascals, so I will repeat both regarding these temperatures. At this altitude, which is 1.5 kilometers, look, here we have the deepening low, deepening on Saturday, and the influx of cold air masses from the north, as well as the pulling in and inflow of warmer air masses from the south. On Sunday, look, the warm air will certainly be pulled extremely strongly towards, among others, Poland. That's why we will have such high temperatures here, but wait. Behind this cooler air will indeed be moving in a very extremely strong dynamic that will again cause confusion in the weather. Of course, earlier, before the 22nd, we will have a lingering cool air mass over the area of Poland, and this cool air mass will be displaced by warmer air. What does this mean for us? Probably precipitation. Snow, yes, probably snow again. Let's move on to the situation that will be here in the coming days. For the 23rd, we have the ECMWF model, and we will choose the view here so we can see this low. Look, this low is deepening very strongly in the case of the ECMWF model, with a pressure of 944 hectopascals. If this situation were to actually occur and the pressure were that low, then we would have a really significant dynamic over the Atlantic Ocean. Of course, this still requires us to wait for the situation to develop. Here in this area, we would have very heavy rainfall. It would really be pouring rain. Meanwhile, we would have a storm line moving into Western Europe, and it would really be moving into Western Europe. The situation there would definitely not be very interesting in that regard. We still have this area. Here we have a warm air mass that, displacing the cooler air, would bring snowfall, wet snow, snow with rain, and then rain. And that is, of course, possible as well. Let's check how it would look in the case of Poland. And indeed, we can see here that this warm atmospheric front would reach Poland. However, we need to focus here on precipitation and temperatures. The distribution of temperatures would be such that the warm atmospheric front, which I also mentioned earlier, would be outlined approximately like this. Of course, there would also be an occluded front, which we will mention when the time is closer, so these fronts can generally look different than what we see here. Well, this is roughly how it would look, with the flow of cold air masses from the north pushing these cold air masses towards the north and northeast, and the inflow of this warmer air mass from the Atlantic Ocean over Western Europe, but also over Central Europe. And this situation is very important for us in this regard. So what? With the displacement of this cold air mass, we would have precipitation, including snow, muddy weather primarily, but still quite intriguing. The GFS model shows a fairly similar situation, but let's remember there are still really a few days left, and this situation can, of course, still change.